a few questions.
Will the gentleman yield?
Certainly.
You're in order.
Thank you. Representative Fry, can you tell me what is the percentage of households in Iowa receiving SNAP benefits that have children?
So have you been to the DHS dashboard to look that up?
I'll let you know I've already contacted DHS and LSA and run it by. The number is 66%, and that's according to USDA Food and Nutrition. Secondly, can you tell me what is the percentage of households in Iowa receiving SNAP benefits that contain one or more individuals with disabilities?
So Representative, I'm certain you must have all the data you're about to ask me. Feel free to educate me.
I was just curious. You were the one running the bill. I was curious if you had that information.
Feel free to share with the body.
Sure, that number is 46.7%. And lastly, can you tell me what is the percentage of individuals in Iowa that are 18 to 49, non-disabled, and childless?
Again, Representative, feel free to share the data.
That number is 16%. So, thank you, Representative Fry. So, ladies and gentlemen of the Iowa House, this is very obvious. This bill does one thing. Quite simply, this bill takes food, nutrition, away from poor children, disabled people, the elderly, the most vulnerable members of our society, with absolutely no economic benefit to Iowa taxpayers. First, let's discuss the economics. The funding of SNAP comes from the feds. The food cost Iowa taxpayers $0. We are representatives for the people of Iowa, not federal representatives. This does nothing to benefit Iowans economically. If saving money is the primary intention of this bill, then this is easily the most misguided piece of legislation I have witnessed in my short time here. Let us be perfectly clear. When this legislation achieves its desired effect, it will directly result in the loss of $5.4 million a year from SNAP, with only a sliver of that money needed up front to administrate. $1.7 million in funding will be lost in children's health insurance program compared to the $400,000 in savings to the state. Not that great at math, but that's a net loss of $1.3 million. All of the SNAP money goes directly into our local economies. This is money spent at our grocery stores. $5.4 million will be directly lost per year to Iowa's economy, with, as Representative Forbes alluded to, the trickle-down effects being far, far greater. We are losing $5.4 million per year that came at zero cost to Iowa taxpayers. How does that make any sense? It simply doesn't. Let's next discuss the fraud. In 2020, Iowa disqualified 322 out of more than 300,000 people on SNAP. They actually only convicted 4 people of fraud. That's a fraud rate of less than 1,000 of 1%. And I know what my colleagues across the aisle are going to say. Too many people out here abusing the system. I've already heard it today, actually. But here's the reality. Less than 1% of fraud taking place here. All we are doing is taking food from the poorest and most vulnerable amongst us. Here are the real facts. The percentage of families currently on SNAP is at a 14-year low. The burden for the Iowa taxpayer is zero, as Iowa SNAP is federally funded. Again, to mention these stats, 66% of families currently on SNAP contain one or more children. 46.7% of these households receiving SNAP benefits contain one or more individuals with disabilities. We are taking food, basic nutrition, from poor children and disabled people. This bill is detrimental to thousands of children with disabilities living on an HCBS waiver, as well as adults who live with their parents or family members. These waivers were made to help keep disabled individuals living in the community. What are these families supposed to do? Sell their cars so they can qualify for a wheelchair or food? There are no options for these people. What is the value of adding difficulty or an asset test to a child's provider or to a mentally or physically disabled person? What is the value in doing this to a blind or deaf or physically impaired? Because the facts are, the people that are relying on this program for their basic need of nutrition. In my opinion, this bill is a disgrace. There is zero financial benefit to the state of Iowa. It is a terrible economic decision, and even worse, it's morally reprehensible. The bill takes away food from veterans, the elderly, poor children, and disabled individuals. I implore you all to do the right thing for those that can't afford their own lobbyist and vote no on this bill.
Chair recognizes the gentleman